Hello, everyone. Simon Fee, and we're back for another Midweek Musings.
Hello,
How are you doing,
hello.
Fee?
I'm still here. That's about all I can say at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm here.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's well, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I think, yeah, as ever, we're both experiencing this just insane roller coaster of
Yeah,
of craziness.
yeah,
Um, it feels like it's going to get really, really boring if like we just continue. It's like, yeah, life's a mess, feeling like, absolutely mental and yeah, not coping. But yeah, so yeah, I think we've been having a bit of a chat and we were both trying to find a little bit of balance whereby although things are crazy and a bit negative, and you were just talking literally about the negativity bias that our human brains tend to have, um, but that actually there is still lots going on to be happy about and things to be grateful for.
mm,
I mean, I did a post this morning actually talking about practicing gratitude,
yeah,
and how important
yeah. It
that
was
is.
nice.
And that, even when things are just an absolute mess, as they very much are in my life right now, and the stress is bubbling over, and sometimes I feel so overwhelmed, I just want to go and hide away. And nothing is ever 100% bad, and there is no kind of, everything's dark and there's no light to be found in every kind of situation and complicated mess that there is. If you do sort of have a little look around, there are still many, many things to feel blessed about and many, many things to be grateful for.
Yeah,
um
absolutely.
and you came up with quite a few, didn't we,
Yeah,
when we were
well, they're
talking
just sort
earlier?
of the things that are playing out there. I mean, I've been deliberately stepping right back from social media and just that scrolling through to keep up to date on the latest travesty that's happening. I
Of
mean,
which there are still many, aren't there?
well, yeah, and it's like you're always going to hear the stuff that you need to hear about that's going to affect your life or potentially affect. It's going to get through anyway, so like, I really don't need to be going looking for these things. So I've been very purposely stepping away from all of that and kind of reclaiming my life, um in a sense. And but yeah, you do still, you come across things. It's not like I've gone completely off grid or anything. And yeah, there's just like a lot of local actions now from very empowered people that we're seeing. There've been a handful of videos of different council meetings going around where you've got local people really taking them to task, their councils to task, really grilling them on, the 15-minute cities, the whole green agenda thing. There was one in particular. I want to say Colchester, but I don't know. I don't know whether that was right because unless I write something down or it's just gone. But it was all about the, yeah, the green agenda and this whole section on the electric vehicle things, and it was just brilliant. It was just so well researched. This woman really knew her stuff, and there's just this panel sat there like, she's asking them very direct questions. Have you looked into this? What are your plans to um just check the safety of things and put the, because we've been seeing, for example, um with the low traffic zones and so on and so forth, that emergency service vehicles not being, I can't remember how many there were,
Yeah, there's
in
been
the
quite a few.
hundreds, I think, where they literally can't get through, obviously, because they're about, just things like that. Like, are you actually, what's your plan here? What? And there's just these vacant kind of stares, and this is happening more and more, and you can see there's a change. There's a change in the energy. These people aren't going there cap in hand. They're going there knowing we're the people that you serve. So, right, let's get down to this, shall we? And you can see where that sort of power it's shifting. And when that's happening on a local level, it's going to be happening on a national level. And I think that's kind of where we're at. Like we've been talking about this morning, how, my God, it's just this, it's like being in a tug of war between this negative and positive. I've been really, really going through it. Like, just like, my God, am I losing my mind to feel that totally flat and depleted and depressed and, in despair, quite frankly, like proper hope, very bleak, dark thoughts, no energy, and just thinking, well, that's it, there's no way of getting out of this, because I literally don't have anything there that will allow me to, the toolbox seems to be like out of reach.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I think there's always something there that, that little spark that's keeping you going. But, when you're just absolutely on the floor. But then, like, and it was a very tangible shift. This was like a week or a week and a half ago. I was really, really suffering. And it was pure energy, because there was nothing I was saying or doing to try and change things. It literally went blip. And I was like, okay, I wasn't like on the mountaintop screaming with joy, but it was,
Hills are alive.
oh, I'm back, but it was this definite lifting of something really, really heavy and dark. And then I just started to feel better and better. And suddenly, I'm counting my blessings again, the gratitude, all of those things that really do manifest into your reality. And it's like there are things kind of beyond that are happening on this energetic level that's beyond our little controllable
I'd be on board
worlds
with
of
that.
emotions that, because I really felt it. It's like I can't take any credit for suddenly feeling better, different. Something just went. And I think that's what we're experiencing a lot. We're being pulled to the new, which is this, vastly different, wide, expansive, beautiful reality. And then we've got the old, which is, it's like this pulling. We're like, that's how it feels to me. And I think we're seeing it, it's always playing out in the collective, isn't it?
It is. I can definitely, when the switch in energy, I do, and I go through it every few days. I go from that complete, but it's not so much, it's very difficult to describe, but it is this very, very heavy energy that really kind of just crushes me down and is so overwhelming. It's kind of this bubbling that's like there's no room for anything except this, like, I can't do this feeling. And then that will it will go again, and I'll find myself being able to kind of do the gratitude and look for the good, and it is this constant toing and froing. And as you say, and as I think we have probably said every week, well, every time we've done this for months, that there is definitely this internal and external kind of mirroring of what's going on. And I think I see it among people, where you see other people going from this really sort of empowered, and as you say, going to these council meetings, and all these people that the amount of very, very creative, resourceful, wonderful things going on with the ULEZ cameras in London, which are just absolutely delightful to see. But there's this individuals being empowered and doing these things, and then there is again this shift to almost this back into this fear of this is coming, be afraid, be scared, and it does seem to be really, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm going into that thing again, but
it's like I think it's the transition. It's never going to be this clean, oh look, we're just straight out of fear and depression and disconnection, and you know, all of these things that, oh, there we go, straight into it. Can't, I think, for very sort of practical reasons, like bodily and emotionally, mentally, that you can't, there's always got to be that integration. And I'm hoping that that's what this is, because it started to feel for me, instead of this being an intensely personal individual thing, which has dogged me, you know, through many years of my life, unfortunately, you know, being in those sort of very yeah, just unloving, let's say, towards myself. It's starting to fit, I'm seeing it more as this kind of impersonal energy, like all of this, the frequency of fear. Well, that's basically it. If you whittle it down, you know, everything's sort of coming from that bit, the fear, the anxiety, that feeling of complete disconnection. Like we've talked a lot about, feeling like you just want to break these chains of whatever it is. You feel this potential within that's stifled, you know, all of that, that actually it's the frequency that we're in for whatever reason, you know, whether we've been manipulated into it's kind of degraded and brought down so we can be controlled, but that it channels itself through these seemingly very personal, but you know, because we're all, okay, so I feel intense shame and guilt about whatever. The shame and guilt is still that universal frequency, and I can talk to anyone and they will pretty much, and they'll be like, yeah, totally different circumstances, life story, the reasons for those feelings, nothing to do with mine, but my god, it's the same damn thing. And when you start to realize that, there's something quite freeing about it, because you can see that it's this prison that we've all been put in, and we'll all experience these really low, negative, damaging kind of energies and frequencies in our own way, but it's still, it has to be that way, if that makes sense. For it to play out the way it does, it has to be this personal thing that we take as our own. And so I feel this way about myself because of someone, but so's everybody else about something else. It's like, no, right, that's it, we've got to get out of this, we've got to rise up together, stop thinking there's something wrong with me, and I've got to do this, I've got to heal. It just gives a bit of a different perspective, and I think you can start seeing things. It's easier to kind of move with the energies and see that, oh, actually it's not me here. And there's that, you've spoken a lot about that surrender. It's like, okay, this isn't me, it might feel like it, I might be able to attach that to that and go, well, this is why, but actually it's, we're in this soup. And if you just keep, I don't think you even need to keep it in mind that you're focused on the brightest and the most beautiful and all of that, because it's already in you. Trust that and you'll be okay. But I don't know if that makes any sense.
Sort of. I think there is a universal shift, and as I say about this mirroring, that there is in terms of everybody's kind of consciousness and awareness of how we are, and how that is a result of decades of imprinting and programming and all of this stuff. And I think collectively we're all unpicking that and kind of starting to free ourselves from that. And obviously, you know, as you're unpicking that, you get waylaid by, you know, shadows and darkness that kind of take you away from kind of where you're heading. You have to unpick that to get back on track. And it seems to me that, as you say, there is this battle, this tug of war, um, with regard to energy and frequency that is filtering down to a very individual level. Um, and I do kind of think that actually the battle we're in is a battle for our souls, and we
Yes.
kind of need to tune
Yeah.
in and find our own soul in order to become that empowered, that powerful individual that we are, to
Yeah.
become part of the collective that can actually finally unburden humanity from all this shit we've been under for so long. And so we are all on these individual paths where we're combating all our individual struggles, but actually it's all feeding in to a very kind of collective purpose of
Yeah, absolutely.
becoming,
Yeah.
you know, who we were always, who we always were, but was buried under all of this shit.
Yeah.
And you know, as growth is never linear, you know, I mean, we're all kind of going in this
Yeah.
weird, and I think if I allow myself to really, I do feel like, you know, there is almost this kind of coming out of the darkness for all of us, and
Yeah.
we're kind of going back in and coming out, but each time we come back out into the light, we're that little bit stronger, that little bit
Yeah.
wiser. And that is showing, as you say, in the grassroots local community activism that is happening kind of everywhere, of people really taking it upon themselves to go, now hang on a minute,
Yeah.
and kind of taking that power back. And as I say, I do think, you know, that's kind of, we're on the right track. It all
Yeah.
says to me that we're on the right track. We're moving forward towards a kind of brighter place where we're starting to take back control of our own mind, of our soul, of our spirit, of our heart, and our ability to kind of actually meander our way through this nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think we're on the same page with it, really. It's just and I think as the craziness increases and it gets more and more nuts. I mean, we've been saying this, haven't we, the whole way along? My God, it's getting more mad, and it hasn't stopped. Like, it is
There is no let up
literally
to the
like that.
nuts.
No, it's just like, my God, but I think it's an indicator of just they've lost, it is out of control, and it's so crazy. And it's because, that wouldn't be happening if everything was just going along the way it always has, and we're just, these little obedient slaves. That it's not like that anymore. It's reaching fever pitch, and I think with the more insane things get and the more these big sort of events happen, it's of course it can look really frightening and negative, and oh my God, but actually it's I think it's an indicator of how things are actually changing hugely. And there's so much going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. And that's, on an energetic level as much as anything actually, happening in the 3D. It's but it's just trying to cling on to your sanity while it's all happening. And really, one thing I have noticed is I'm definitely being more like drawn back to my intuition and more to the old me, the me before. Not quite the same, because too much has happened, and it's in a good way, really. But just, yeah, I'm kind of, I talked about it before. I just felt like I'd totally lost any sense of joy or wonder in the world, and my kind of hope for the future and things like, and just for myself, a lot of it very sort of selfish personal things. I just felt like it had gone. And then gradually, despite how fucked up everything has been, and a mess, and all of these things going on, like out there and in here, there has been this sort of moving back towards that and feeling those really beautiful, intense moments of connection. And yeah, just when you're not in your head and you're just like, I'm glad to be alive. I'm just glad to be alive, and that's all it is. And it could be, you know, for whatever little seeming reason, you're there again. So, and I do think it's that, yeah, we're just in, out, and it's becoming more. That's a bit much, isn't it?
Well, you can't say in that in without saying shake it all about afterwards. Just,
Um,
sorry.
and hopefully it will be sort of like in the light more, like for longer periods. I think it's that acclimatizing period, like something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying desperately to make sense of things, but it seems to resonate. It just feels like that's what it is, and it is very much a spiritual battle, all of this. In the end, it's all, there is only energy, there is only frequency, there is only, you know, we know for a fact scientifically, like, through quantum physics and, you know, all of that, that everything we're seeing, and it's an illusion. None of this is actually solid and real in the way we think it is. So it's all you know, this massive cosmic consciousness game, you know, whatever it is that's playing out, we know that. And that's what it is. It's this battle for the higher frequency. The ones that are in, like, fully committed to the dark side, are doing their absolute utmost to keep us down, but we're feeling that discomfort. And we're just not, I think, as hard as it is when we're going through these terrible periods of, you know, just, and you feel so isolated, don't you? Even though I know I'm constantly banging on about how we're not alone, and I know that, but when you're in that pit,
Yeah.
it's, you do just feel like you're the only one there, and you can't even begin to articulate how you feel. But we don't want to be there. We don't want to be there. And so, yeah, we're being in, out, shaking all about.
Yes, quite. No, it's just yeah, it's a period of transformation, and I think you've still got to kind of stick with it, and as you say, cling on to some semblance of sanity, whatever that looks like. I don't even know what that looks like
I
anymore.
don't know. Yeah, don't ask me. I'm not the person who asks. Um,
But either way, yeah, transformation, I think, is it's a very good thing, and I think a lot more people are recognizing it, and I think it's always the first step, isn't it? Recognizing that there's a transformation going on, and it is not just within ourselves, but collectively. And however, I mean, I've only had a few periods. Well, no, there's been quite a lot actually, to be fair, where I have been in that seemingly completely dark place where you're just so you're, I don't know, trying to grab out to something. Like there's
yeah,
got to be something there,
and
and
there's
then you just
nothing.
can't find it.
Yeah,
But actually, still within there is this, and I can only call it a knowing, but like
yeah,
a knowing that actually everything is heading in the right direction. And it doesn't, sometimes it really doesn't feel like it. And it's like, oh my God, it's just mental. But I, I do think everything is heading in the right direction, and everything, as I say, when you look outside at what's going on, um, and I do think the communities, everything starting in the communities, like all over the country, is the way forward. I still really like those, you know, great big massive
oh
events,
yeah,
you know, in London or regionally, where, you know, loads of you get together. But actually the key to turning this around is for us all to be doing it in our own communities. And I do see in the UK group a lot that there are a lot of stands and a lot of community groups that are you know, in different areas, sort of making huge amounts of progress. I mean, I will shout out to Sittingbourne. They have
Oh, yeah, they're
they're
great.
brilliant. They have successfully, I think they are on their fifth 5G mast that they have successfully stopped going up, which is just incredible. And it is just, you know, committed people all over the country taking steps towards different, because let's face it, there is so much shit to be wading through right now.
Yeah,
There are agendas galore,
yeah.
so many things that, you know, need stopping, need awareness bringing to them, need,
Mm,
you know, addressing. But if everybody is addressing things where they are, um
exactly.
it is going to make a massive, massive difference. And
And
seeing that
that's what we're
happening
seeing, yeah. And it
is
and like I said, you're seeing that shift within the people where they realize actually we're the ones in charge here, and we're not going to have it. And it that has not there's always been that kind of, you know, oh, with the authorities, you know, we're down here and they're the ones that say, and it's which is absolute bollocks. Obviously that's just a complete, you know, that's been turned on its head. That is not how um these, you know, authorities, they don't even deserve that name, you know, that's not what they were put in place for. It's always been to serve us, and it's been this switch where the belief is
is
suddenly,
happening.
but now it's going back. It's like, no, hold on a minute, who pays your wages, who, and people are, they're not empty words anymore, people are actually feeling it, and that's the sovereignty, and that's when the big changes come. So like you say, you have the huge protests, which are great because they're all the energy and it really
Yeah.
gets people, and just that, yeah, just people coming together with a common purpose like that is huge. But it's always going to be, well, then you go back to your daily life, so what then? And that's where we're starting to see all those changes. And yeah, you can be totally overwhelmed looking at the sheer volume of crap, you know, never mind within your own country, like everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And if you're just looking at that the whole time, oh my god, no, just change what's directly affecting us, not in a selfish way, oh, sod everyone else, but what can I actually do, what's come here that I can get involved in and take action against, or, you know, whatever it is. And that's controllable, that's sort of within your reach to make those sort of change. And of course then you're getting the feelings of empowerment. Oh yeah, well hang on a minute, I'm a hell of a lot more powerful than I thought. What we say does matter, and it spreads. And so yeah, you've got 5G towers, you've got, in Berlin, that was another thing. There was a referendum on the green agenda, 82% net zero,
Yeah.
82% have said no. So that's it. The people have spoken. I mean, maybe they'll still try and push these things, but it's weakening. All of this is weakening. And all of these things, the net zero, the 15-minute cities, the ULEZ, all of these different things, they are an integral part of the agenda as a whole. They're very important, and it's not going well.
It's not. And the very I think it does, it very much boils down to, for every single person that takes control of their own mind, of
Yeah,
their own actions, and of their own empowerment, and steps into that,
mm,
um, takes power from them. And where
yeah,
you've got so many people now, actually, that shift in consciousness, that shift in, well, actually, I have a responsibility and I have the power to make a difference, and I'm going to step into that and I'm going to make a difference, whether that's on, you know, a personal level about how you feel about yourself, and how you feel about, um you know, your ability and your power to control things, and whether you're working on yourself or whether you're taking that out into your community and standing up and asking questions, and challenging the world outside. All of those things are coming together
yeah,
to chip away at their power. And I really do think it does boil down to the reason things are shifting is because we are shifting.
Yeah.
And the more people that take control of that shift and take control of themselves and their power, the more we're going to take away from them, and the less chance that all of this is going to go the way they want it to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just it's looking very shaky. Like I said, like the worst things appear to be the optics. I think it's very telling, because it's not going to plan. It isn't. They've been running alongside this great awakening, the great shift, you know, all of this from the beginning, like just trying to keep up, but they know. I mean, because they're psychopathic, they can't stop. So even though they know, they're still, you know, they're insane. So they're still going to keep doing all of this anyway, in this sort of vain hope that it will somehow go their way. But it's always been this trying to sort of divert and kind of manage and but they can't. It is a tidal wave. It is growing and growing, and it is very much, it's in here and that's what's out there, and vice versa. It's like this feedback loop. And when you've got people who, they're either doing the work on themselves because they don't want to live in fear anymore, regardless of what it is, they just don't want to be living in this constant state of anxiety and feeling worthless, and that there's, you know, that life is just this drudgery. There's so many of us just think life is so much more than what we've allowed ourselves to be kind of pushed into believing it is. And again, it's that, oh, you just want to like flap your wings and feel that freedom. And then of course you've got other people that are, they're not so inner looking or whatever, but it's coming from what they're doing in the world, and they're getting that empowerment from those actions that they're taking. So it's happening in multiple there's no right or wrong way. Like, just do what feels right. You don't worry about what other people are saying. Oh, well, we should all be doing this, or we should all, oh, and if everyone isn't, blah blah. No, that's not it. You've got your own, we're all on our own journeys, we've all got our own part to play. Our paths are all very individual in that sense within the collective, and they all, if you just do what feels right, regardless of what anyone else might have to say about it, then you know it's all good, really. You're doing what you're supposed to be, and a lot of that anxiety starts to fall away then, because you're not kind of in a battle with yourself. It's like with the, I don't really want to be spreading, not I've never like deliberately spread fear, but you know, that's not me. But I'm very, very much more spiritually minded around all of this stuff, and I feel this. I think we're both, you know, we're
We are
activists
quite
as
similar.
well, but we're very
We
much,
are foot in
it's
both
always,
camps.
yeah, but it's always coming from that bigger, energetic, and you know, and I think I've, instead of what, like trying to appeal to every single kind of person out there, you just have to honor your own guidance and what feels right. And so yeah, you might, and well, I mean, who cares anyway? It's never been about having an audience and
No.
bit, you know, but I have noticed how many views and things the more negative videos get that people put out there, all the commentary on everything. It's just the outrage all the time, and oh, what's going on? And it's like, yeah, there's a validity to all that, but it's not my,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of there now with, like, you know, just quietly do whatever feels right on my own thing. And if it's not appealing to masses, that was never really my sort of intention anyway, to be quite honest. We've sort of found ourselves thrust into these kind of roles over the last 3 years. But
Yeah. So yeah, I think, yeah, honor yourself, honor your journey, honor your spirit, and just keep doing whatever you're doing. It
yeah,
labels you hang on in there and keep going, I guess.
yeah.
And have faith. Have faith.
Have faith in yourself as much as anything else. We're still here. That's got to say something, hasn't it? Here we still are together.
Indeed. I think we've sort of rather nicely circled back. And yeah, we are sort of running out of time.
We
So
are. I will
shall
post, sorry, just quickly underneath, there's a link to, we're speaking about the
the UK
councils.
Citizen Pack.
Yes, which is all about how
Yes.
you can go to, you know, how to approach these council meetings and you know, asking the questions, and so it's quite detailed, which is great. So I'll add the link underneath, and that's obviously UK based, but I would imagine there are similar things happening all over right now. So
Yeah, yeah, we are sort of all in it together, aren't we? Wherever we are, the move is the same, the play is the same.
yeah, that's it. So yeah, have a great week, everyone, rest of the week, and yeah, we'll probably be back next week. Who knows?
Probably, maybe, or the week after. We just,
We'll be back at
yeah,
some point,
whenever
won't
our,
we?
yeah, yeah. Right, sending everybody lots of love.
Take care.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.